You are listening to Revenge Rain. Enjoy the story. From a young age, my parents taught me one golden rule. Emily, you are the older sister. You must always yield to your brother. So, the juicy chicken drumstick on the dinner table, I gave it to him. My favorite toys, I gave them to him. And now, even the apartment I spent years saving every penny to buy. They want me to yield it to him so he can have a stable future. But they don't know one thing. I have secretly linked with a special system. Every dollar my brother steals from me shortens his life by 1 day. Emily, why are you so unreasonable? It's just a toy. Why are you fighting with your brother? I looked up to see my mother, Karen, rushing into my room. She hurriedly picked up my 13-year-old brother, Kevin, who was crying like a baby. In Kevin's hand was the shattered remains of a limited edition anime figure I had hand-carried from Japan. It cost me over $1,000. Now, the head was in one corner, the body in another, broken like trash. Kevin is 13. He is not small. When Mom picked him up, he looked like a giant praying mantis clinging to her. Yet, he buried his face in her chest, wailing loudly. "Mommy!" Emily yelled at me. "She's so mean! Save me!" His crying sounded like the sky was falling. But the moment Mom wasn't looking, he turned to me and stuck out his tongue, making a mocking face. My hands clenched into fists. I couldn't hold it back anymore. "Mom! That's not a toy. It's a collector's item worth over $1,000. "What?" Mom's eyes went wide. Before I could finish, she grabbed my arm and pinched it hard. "Are you crazy? Spending that much money on useless plastic? Why didn't you give that money to Kevin so he could buy a new iPad or Jordans?" I winced in pain, my heart turning cold. I used to be their little princess. But when Mom gave birth to Kevin, 12 years younger than me, everything changed. In their eyes, I became invisible, or worse. I became Kevin's servant. Good food? Kevin gets it. Kevin hits me? I have to endure it. Even now that I have a job, they demand I give him allowance money. I looked down, hiding the bitterness in my eyes. Whatever. I'm moving out soon. My new condo is ready. Just a few more weeks. Mom didn't even glance at me. She stroked Kevin's hair soothingly. "Don't cry, baby. If you like that toy, take it. Everything your sister has belongs to you." Kevin smirked, a devilish grin spreading across his face. Then, quick as lightning, he grabbed another figure from my shelf. "I want this one too." I was about to explode, but suddenly... Ding! A mechanical voice rang in my head. "Congratulations, host. You have activated the Anti-Patriarchy Resistance System. Rule: every dollar your brother steals from you corresponds to time deducted from his lifespan." I froze. Was I hallucinating? Was I going crazy from stress? But the voice continued, calm and robotic. "System alert. Detected that Kevin has destroyed stolen property worth $2,200. Conversion: 2.2 years of lifespan deducted." Me. I stood there, speechless. Meanwhile, Mom carried Kevin out of the room, looking triumphant. When they were gone, I clutched my head. What is this? Deducting lifespan? The system replied clearly. "We are born from the resentment of countless daughters who were treated unfairly. Our mission is to punish those who benefit from this bias. From today, for every $1,000 value Kevin takes from you, 1 year will be deducted from his life." I gasped. I thought I needed a psychiatrist, but the system seemed to read my mind. The deducted lifespan will manifest as specific physical symptoms or accidents. As soon as the voice stopped, a scream echoed from the living room. "Kevin!" I rushed out. Kevin, who was laughing just moments ago, was now lying unconscious on the floor. Blood was gushing from his nose. My phone dropped from my hand. Holy shit, it's real. And the following days proved it. Kevin got sick constantly. He had weird accidents, and every single time, it happened right after he took something from me. He stole my fried chicken? The next day, he walked into a door and got a concussion. He demanded my allowance? He slipped down the stairs as soon as he left the house. Finally, I had to believe it. One evening, Kevin started screaming for my new laptop. "I want it! Give it to me!" Mom glared at me. "Emily, give it to him. He needs it for homework." I knew he wanted it for gaming. I refused firmly. "No, if he wants a computer, you buy it for him. This is for my work." I refused not because of the money, but because I didn't want my brother to die. Yes, I hated Kevin. I hated his entitlement. I hated my parents' bias, but he was still my brother. I couldn't watch him die because of my own possessions. But Kevin didn't understand. Seeing me refuse, he went into a rage. He grabbed my laptop and smashed it onto the floor. Crash! "Kevin!" I screamed. The screen was shattered. Kevin looked up, laughing. "Now you can't work either." Ha ha ha. I was shaking with anger. System alert. Property destruction counts as theft. Laptop value, $2,500. Deduction, 2.5 years of lifespan. That night, I was too angry to eat dinner. Mom brought a tray of food to my room. She knew Kevin went too far this time, so her voice was softer. "Emily, I know he's annoying, but he's just a child. Don't be mad at him." I looked at her coldly. "Mom, 13 is not a child. If you keep spoiling him, you will kill him one day." I meant it, literally. In just a few days, Kevin had lost nearly 10 years of his life over petty theft. Mom's face darkened. "Watch your mouth. It's just a computer. Why are you cursing your brother?" "I'm not cursing him. I'm just..." "Fine." Mom cut me off impatiently. "I came up here to talk about something else. Your new condo is ready to move in, right?" I nodded. "Yes, I just need to buy some furniture." "Good." Mom continued, her voice casual. "Your father and I talked. Once you get the deed, we want you to transfer the ownership to Kevin." I snapped my head up. "What? You heard me. Transfer the condo to your brother." She looked at me as if it was the most logical thing in the world. "You are a girl. Why do you need a house? When you get married, your husband will have a house. Kevin needs a stable future." I stared at her. She felt like a stranger. "No." I refused immediately. "I bought that house with my own money. I worked 2 jobs for years. Why should I give it to him?" Mom's soft mask crumbled. She stood up, pointing a finger at my face. "Emily, I didn't know you were so selfish. Since when did you care about money so much? He is your brother. You are the older sister. You should yield to him. Yield to him." I had heard that phrase a million times, but this time, it wasn't a drumstick. It wasn't a toy. It was my home, my future. I exploded. "I will not yield. If you want him to have a house, buy it yourself." "I will absolutely not." Slap! Mom slapped me across the face. Hard. My cheek burned. I looked at her in shock. "Don't think you can keep that house. I told you, you will cough it up." I knew she meant it. Mom always got what she wanted. I remembered when I was in middle school. I won a crystal music box for being top of the class. Kevin, a toddler then, wanted it. I refused. He broke it. I cried. Mom punished me. She took away all my books and forced me to study until I won another one, just to give it to Kevin. This time, she used her ultimate weapon, Grandma. Grandma was the only person who truly loved me. But she was sick, lying in the hospital on life support. Mom looked at me coldly. "If you don't give the house to Kevin, we will stop paying for Grandma's medical bills. We will pull the plug." I froze. "What?" "You heard me. Treating her costs money. Buying a house for Kevin costs money. We can't afford both. If you give the house, we save the money for Grandma." I looked at my parents and Kevin, standing together like a united front. I laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. "You want me to give the house to Kevin? Fine. I'll give it to him." "You want me to give the house to Kevin?" I looked at my parents and my brother, standing together like a fortress of greed. Fine, I'll give it to him. The transfer process went smoothly. As soon as the paperwork was signed, Mom's face finally softened. You see? She came into my room that night with a bowl of lotus seed soup. You are so stubborn. If you had just agreed earlier, we wouldn't have had to fight. Here, drink this while it's hot. It's your favorite. I looked at the soup. I never liked lotus seed soup. Kevin liked it. Mom always made a huge pot for him, and I only got the leftovers. Over time, she convinced herself that I loved it too. I didn't touch the bowl. I was waiting for something else. 10 minutes later, Mom's phone rang. It was Kevin's school. Mrs. Lee, you need to come to the hospital immediately. Kevin collapsed during gym class. Mom's face turned pale. She dropped the phone and ran out. I followed them to the hospital, not because I was worried, but because I needed to see the outcome. I expected to hear that Kevin was dead. According to the system, a house worth $300,000 should have wiped out 300 years of his life. But the doctor came out looking grave. Mrs. Lee, Kevin is in a deep coma. His organs are failing rapidly. We don't know what caused it. We have him on life support. But prepare for the worst. Mom collapsed into Dad's arms, sobbing. I frowned. Why wasn't he dead? System. Kevin fell ill because he took the house. However, legally, the transfer is contestable. You can still sue to get it back because you were coerced. Therefore, the theft is not complete, so his life wasn't fully deducted. I understood. The transaction wasn't finalized in the eyes of the system because I still had a legal path to reclaim it. System. If you sue to get the house back, Kevin will recover. If you do nothing, he will remain in a coma and eventually die. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. So, I didn't have to be a murderer. I hated them, but I couldn't actively kill my 13-year-old brother. I decided to wait. I would let him stay in a coma for a while, a punishment for his greed. Once I was fully independent and moved out, I would sue for the house back, saving his life but cutting ties with the family forever. But I underestimated my parents' insanity. For the next few days, my parents lived at the hospital. I stayed home, working on my writing and preparing my escape. My novel was getting popular online, and my editor suggested I start live streaming to engage with fans. I was an introvert, but I needed the money and the public presence to protect myself. So I started streaming. One evening, I was live on stream, chatting with readers. Suddenly, my bedroom door burst open. Mom rushed in like a madwoman. She didn't even notice the camera or the ring light. She slapped me across the face so hard, I fell out of my chair. "Smack! Emily! You shameless witch!" she screamed, her voice distorting on the microphone. "You used black magic to hurt your brother. Do you have no shame?" I hit my head on the corner of the desk. Blood trickled down my forehead. Mom grabbed my hair, pulling my face up to hers. "You think killing him will get you the inheritance? Dream on! I will beat you to death today." "Mom, are you crazy?" Dad walked in then. He didn't stop her. He looked at me with cold, hateful eyes. "Emily, stop pretending. We saw a master. He said someone close to Kevin is using a dark curse on him. That's why he's sick." I was stunned. "Dark curse? Are you insane? What are you talking about? You deny it?" Mom slammed my head against the desk. "Thud!" the master said. "As long as we kill the person who cast the curse, Kevin will wake up immediately." My blood ran cold. I asked the system frantically, "Is that true?" System, panicked. "Yes. If you die, I disappear. If I disappear, the curse on Kevin lifts." They are actually right. The system was terrified. It never expected humans to be this superstitious or this cruel. My parents were willing to murder their daughter on the vague word of a fortune teller just to save their son. Mom choked me. Her hands were like iron claws. Die! Just die! Save my son! I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. Mom, don't! The master is a liar. Liar or not, I have to try. Even if there's a 1% chance, I will sacrifice you for him. I looked into her eyes. There was no love, no hesitation, just madness. In her eyes, I wasn't even worth 1% of Kevin. I was about to black out. Suddenly, bang! The door was kicked open. Police! Drop her, now! Officers swarmed the room. They pulled Mom off me and handcuffed Dad. As I gasped for air, lying on the floor, I realized what happened. My stream, it was still running. Thousands of people had watched my parents try to murder me live on the internet. They called the police. They saved my life. I woke up in the hospital with a concussion and bruises around my neck. While I was unconscious, the video of my attempted murder had gone viral. The internet was in an uproar. Viewers didn't know about the system. They only saw two deranged parents trying to kill their daughter because of a superstition about their sick son. Netizens dug up everything: how they favored Kevin, how they forced me to give up my house, how they neglected me for years. The public pressure was immense. My parents were charged with attempted murder and domestic abuse. The evidence was irrefutable. Thousands of witnesses saw it live. They were sentenced to 10 years in prison. The moment they were locked away, I was officially free. I filed a lawsuit to reclaim my apartment. Since the transfer was done under duress and I had video evidence of their abuse, the court ruled in my favor immediately. The deed was back in my name. And just as the system predicted, the moment the house was legally mine again, Kevin woke up. It was a miracle, the doctors said. But Kevin wasn't the same. Because he had been in a coma for so long during critical developmental stages, and perhaps because of the system's trauma, he had partial amnesia. He didn't remember me. He didn't remember our parents. Since our parents were in prison and unfit to be guardians, and I refused custody, citing my trauma, Kevin was put into the foster care system. He was adopted by a kind couple who couldn't have children. They were strict but loving. They didn't spoil him. They taught him responsibility. I visited his new neighborhood once, years later. I watched from a distance as he played basketball with his new dad. He looked happy, normal, not the entitled brat he used to be. I walked away without saying a word. I cut all ties. I changed my name. I moved into my apartment, my sanctuary. The system unlinked from me the day my parents were sentenced. System, my job here is done. You are safe now. I didn't need it anymore. I had saved myself. Before we go, please note, this is a fictional story collected and edited by us for entertainment and educational purposes. Our goal is to foster emotional awareness, empathy, and understanding regarding toxic family dynamics. We have absolutely no intention of promoting hatred, offense, or harm toward any individual or group. The lesson I learned after all of this, and I want you, the listeners of Revenge Rain, to carve into your hearts, is this: being a family member is not a free pass to abuse you. Yielding to siblings is not a virtue when it destroys your own life. Being a good sister or a good daughter does not mean you have to sacrifice your property, your mental health, or your life for someone else's benefit. My parents thought they could sacrifice me to save their son. They ended up losing both of us. But what about you? If you were in my shoes, pressured by your parents to give up your hard-earned house to a spoiled sibling, would you have fought back like I did? Or would you have given in to keep the peace? Has anyone here ever been forced to yield to a sibling just because you were older or because of your gender? How did it affect your relationship with your family? Please leave a comment below, share your story and your point of view. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Revenge Rain so you don't miss the next emotional story of karma and justice. Goodbye, and see you next time.